Hello best threes, you're welcome to another session, and we are going to look at the directing function of a human resource manager. So directing is said to be a process in which managers instruct, guide, and oversee the performance of all workers to make sure that they achieve the predetermined goals of the organization. And therefore, directing is said to be the heart of management, because without it, really planning, organizing, staffing would be of no use if the employees are not properly directed on what they're supposed to do on their roles and responsibilities. Therefore, direction is said to be all those activities that are designed to encourage the subordinates work effectively and efficiently. So the direction has got the following characteristics. It should be persuasive in nature, meaning that as you direct your employees, you should give inspiration to them. And then it is a continuous activity. It shouldn't be a one-time thing, because our production is all through. So direction should as well be continuous. Then it is a human factor, since we are dealing with people, and therefore it should be in a way that people are handled with care, because people have complex and unpredictable behaviors. So the direction role is really key. And then it should be a creative activity. As you're directing, you come up with convincing ways of making sure people become active. And then directing as an executive function. A direction is carried out by all managers and executives at all levels throughout the working, and therefore subordinates receives instructions from their superiors, and then delegates a function. So as you're directing, you're making people aware of their roles and responsibilities, and in so doing, you should be able to delegate some of the work to the subordinates. So directing is of importance because it initiates actions. Sometimes people are not aware of what is expected out of them, but once they are directed, they get to know what to do, and that acts as an initiation activity. Then it ignites efforts. Here, superiors are able to guide, inspire, and instruct subordinates to work. Then it's a means of motivation. As you're directing, you're encouraging and motivating your workers to improve on the performance. Then it provides stability. So stability and balance in concern becomes very important for long-term survival in the market. So this can only be brought about by managers through tools of the direction function, because as you're directing, people are getting more and more aware of their activities, then coping up with changes. In most cases, managers at the top level come up with changes, or change in policy, or change in how things are done, and therefore if workers are not properly directed, they might not adapt the new changes. Then efficient utilization of resources. As you direct your employees, you clarify their roles, and people are aware, and therefore there will be less of wastage or less duplication of efforts or overlapping of performances. So since we are looking at directing, we are directing people. So we are going to look at an agribusiness manager as a human resource manager. So a human resource manager is that person who employs people, trains them, compensates them when they work, develops policies relating to the workers, and then develops strategies to retain workers, because at the end of the day, you don't look at hiring and firing. You want to hire and retain the good staff. Then what is the role of a human resource manager? So the basic purpose of human resource management or a human resource manager is to maximize productivity of an organization by maximizing the effectiveness of the employees in that particular organization, and therefore the human resource manager is in charge of staffing. So here, however much we've had sophisticated machines or an improvement in technology, humans are still needed. So there is always need for staffing, and therefore the HR manager is in charge of developing a staffing plan, coming up with policies, then recruiting the right employees and selecting who best suits the job or the vacancy, then development of workplace policies. So each organization has policies that ensure fairness and continuity within the organization. So this is always the work of the human resource manager, who can also be the agribusiness manager, then advocating for employees. So the human resource manager should always work as a bridge between the employees and top management, then participating in planning and development at the higher levels of planning, then providing employees with career guidance. We don't want static employees. So as a human resource manager, you should always encourage your subordinates to aim higher or to improve, to look for ways of improving on their careers or career growth. Then they should serve. An agribusiness manager also has a role of serving as a leader of change. You're supposed to live by example. So you're supposed to frequently lead initiatives that yield stronger project management skills, which will inspire also the subordinates. Then oversee and manage a performance appraisal system that drives high performances. So a human resource manager is also in charge of appraising and assessing employee performance and giving feedback as well. So that leads us to human resource planning. So here we look at identifying current and future human resource needs for an organization to be able to achieve its goals. So human resource planning should always serve as a link between human resource management and the overall strategic plan of a company. However, we always face a challenge of aging workers and then the growing demand for qualified workers. I think I can use an example of our government, where we have the old age people that don't want to live, yet people demand for the young generation. So therefore, human resource planning allows companies to plan ahead so they can maintain a steady supply of skilled employees that are going to deliver what is required on the market. So what are the factors that influence human resource planning? We have the level of technology. So technology dictates on what kind of human resource you require. Are you going to need someone who is computer literate, or anyone can take on the job? Then availability of the outsourcing facilities with required skills and knowledge. So are you able to outsource from, let's say, sister companies, or you need to hire on your own? Then time horizons. Some companies have a stable competitive environment, and therefore they can make long-term plans, while others can only plan for short time or a short term range, so that influences your planning. Then we have the influence of trade unions. So these are always here to empower workers. So sometimes as an HR manager, you might have less control because of the influence of these trade unions. So therefore, we need to understand that a labor market is dynamic. So the ability to get a job, the rate of pay at which someone is willing to work at, and how many hours someone wants to work will have an effect on the labor market. So each individual's preferences and the unique needs of the firms and companies across a country determine these important economic concepts. So we have a labor supply, which is the total hours that employees are willing to work at a given wage rate. So a typical labor supply curve is upward sloping, which means that as wages rise, workers are usually attracted and incented to work for more hours. We all want a better pay, and we yearn for jobs that pay higher. So whenever there is a higher wage, you'll have a higher supply of labor. So this is the labor supply curve, like the supply curve for commodities. So the higher the wage, the higher the labor supply, or the higher the number of workers that will want that particular job. However, several factors might lead to a shift of this labor supply curve. So it might either shift outwards or inwards. So meaning that even when a wage remains constant, a worker might choose either to work or not to work, or even when there is an increment in a wage, a worker might choose not to work. And then there could be scenarios where there is a reduction in a wage, but a worker is willing to work. So a shift to the right means that workers are more willing to work at a certain number of hours at a given rate than they were before. And then a shift inwards means they are less willing to work even when the pay is either constant or it has increased. So we shall have an assignment on that. I will upload it in the system on what do you think are the factors that lead to a total shift of the labor supply curve. Thank you so much. Please stay safe.